Brothers and sisters, the Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to John.
Glory to you, Lord.
Jesus said to his disciples, "Do not let your hearts be troubled. You have faith in God, have faith also in me. In my Father's house there are many dwelling places. If there were not, would I have told you that I'm going to prepare a place for you? And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come back again and take you to myself, so that where I am, you also may be. Where I am going, you know the way." Thomas said to him, "Master, we do not know where you are going. How can we know the way?" Jesus said to him, "I am the way and the truth and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. If you know me, then you will also know my Father. From now on, you do know him and have seen him." Philip said to him, "Master, show us the Father, and that will be enough for us." Jesus said to him, "Have I been with you for so long a time, and you still do not know me, Philip? Whoever has seen me has seen the Father. How can you say, 'Show us the Father'? Do you not believe that I am in the Father, and the Father is in me? The words that I speak to you, I do not speak on my own. The Father who dwells in me is doing his works. Believe me that I am in the Father, and the Father is in me, or else believe because of the works themselves. Amen, amen, I say to you, whoever believes in me will do the works that I do, and will do greater ones than these, because I am going to the Father." The Gospel of the Lord. Good morning. I got two different thoughts this morning, so hopefully I will keep this under 20 or 25 minutes. Why does Easter last so long? It's 50 days in all, from the Easter Vigil all the way through Pentecost. Well, some of it is symbolic. For the Jews, the number 7 has a special significance. It's the number of creation and blessing. So Jews see 50 days, 7 weeks of 7 days, plus an extra day for good measure, as a time of an overabundance of blessings. That's why the Jews celebrate a Jubilee every 50 years. So the 50 days of Easter, in some ways, is a tie back to our Jewish roots. But I think there's also a more practical reason for it. Some things can't be rushed, and they require time for us to understand the meaning. The poet Ralph Waldo Emerson once wrote, "The years teach much, which the days never know." This speaks to the challenge of Easter. It's just too big for our minds to grasp all at once. We need to let it stew and work on us over these 50 days, or sometimes even longer. It's obvious that this was true for the early Christians. They needed time to figure out what this Easter mystery was all about. There wasn't any magical, immediate understanding for them either. And we saw that in the first reading. In the days after that first Easter, it was chaotic because they didn't know what to do. But over time, and through some discernment, they began to understand how the Spirit had impacted them personally. They understood that the Spirit brought them different charisms or gifts. Some of them were adept preachers. Others were great organizers. They slowly learned their particular gift and the way that they were called to proclaim the gospel. It's an important thing to remember. There is no one way to proclaim the gospel. Each of us has a special part to play, all of them equally important. We need to take the time during these 50 days to understand how we are being called to bring this Easter message to the world. Some of us do it through ordained life or religious life, others by their gift of music, still others as teachers, or in hundreds of other ways. What is our gift? It's not an easy question, and it's one that we can only answer for ourselves. Even the apostles, the people who were with Jesus, who heard him preach, saw him work his miracles, they were still pretty clueless at the end, and they needed more time to figure it out. In the gospel, we hear Jesus start what we call his farewell discourse, his farewell message, preparing the apostles for a time when he was no longer going to be with them. He's trying to get them to think about all the things that he's taught so that they're ready to proclaim the gospel in his absence. But even after all the time they were together, they still don't understand him. Have I been with you for so long a time and you still don't know me, Philip? He said. All those years, and Philip doesn't understand. He doesn't get it. He doesn't get this new reality that Jesus is proposing, that the Father and the Son are one. He needs time. The same applies to Thomas, who can't seem to see what's right in front of his face. How can we know the way, he said. I can only imagine the look on Jesus' face when he said that, probably thinking, have you paid any attention at all? Did anything I said sink in? What about each of us? The first question Jesus asks in John's gospel is, what are you looking for? And he continues to ask us now this Easter. What are we looking for? Are we even looking? Are we putting these 50 days to good use to figure it out? That's the tricky part about Easter. It's not about Jesus alone. It's about an action and a response. Jesus did his part on day 1. Days 2 to 50 belong to us. How are we working to use that time to unpack this mystery? Because by doing that, not only do we find out about this Jesus person, we discover where we fit in proclaiming the Easter message to the world. We discover our vocation. That's important. Vocations just aren't for priests. Whether we realize it or not, each of us is called to a vocation by our baptism. And our job, so to speak, is to unpack that for the rest of our lives so that we understand our special place. What gift do I bring that no other is able to do? And how am I using that gift to spread the gospel? It's not an easy task. So give yourself these 50 days to think about that more. Stew on that this week. I'm going to shift gears completely because I want to recognize 2 important women in my life, my mother and my wife. I want to do it especially today on Mother's Day. My mom raised me and my brother single-handedly for most of our childhood, and I learned more about being a man from her than any other person. She taught me always to say goodbye and I love you, because you never knew if that was the last time you would see a person. She taught me that I'm special, but that the world doesn't revolve around me. She taught me to give, and when there's nothing left to give, dig deep and find a way to give more. These are lessons that I never appreciated in my teens or 20s, but now I recognize that these are the foundation of who I am as a man. Emerson once wrote that men are what their mothers made them. I'd like to think that Emerson was thinking about a woman like my mother when he wrote that. And I also wish that she were still around so that I could thank her and so she could teach my children the same things. I see that same selfless spirit in my wife, Kathy. While my kids get their dashing good looks from me, why are you laughing? They get their kind hearts and their resilience from her. She is the rock on which our home is built. And I'm amazed every day by the way that she gives everything she has. She goes to bed late and dead tired, working 3 jobs to help pay for school, and then gets up each morning and does it again. And she expects nothing back but hugs and the satisfaction of knowing that she's given her all to raise our kids to be good people. I know that I am not the only one here who's had women like this in their lives. These women are examples of Christ's active presence in our world still. Treat her to brunch, give her a card, but more importantly, tell these women how they've changed your life for the better. She deserves to hear it. To all the moms here today and the women who've acted as moms for people, thank you for all you do. We are paying attention even when we're rolling our eyes and pretending we're not. We understand the reason for that occasional glass of wine is us. And we apologize for giving you those gray hairs. And most of all, remember that we do love you and that we don't say it enough. Happy Mother's Day.